Hi, I'm Lynn. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you found it helpful. In this video, we are going to look at 5 verb forms. You need to understand these to be able to make the different tenses. What are the 5 verb forms? You have root verbs. These are also called base verbs. You have third person singular verbs, present participles, past tense verbs, and past participles. Let's take a closer look at the different verb forms and see how they are made. First, let's look at root verbs or base verbs. It's the base verb that we use to make the present simple tense. A base verb is a verb that has no ending added onto the end of it. So if you look up the word in a dictionary, it is the base verb that you will find. Here are some examples: sleep, eat, learn, draw, talk. These are all base verbs because they have no ending on them. What other base verbs can you think of? Now let's look at third person singular verbs. These are very similar to base verbs. Third person singular is also used when making the present simple tense. It is when we add an s, es, or ies to the end of a verb. If I was using the base verb, I would say I cook. But if I am speaking in the third person, I would use the pronoun he, she, or it. And I would need to put an S onto the end of the verb. So I would have cooks. So he cooks, she cooks, or it cooks. Let's have a look at another verb. So as a base verb, I would say I watch. But if I am speaking in the third person, let's use he this time, I would say he watches, and I need to add the es to the end of the verb. The last example that we're going to look at, as a base verb, I could say I try, but in the third person, you need to change the y to the I and add es. So you could say she tries. You've got the ies on the end of the verb. Moving on to present participles. A present participle is used to create the progressive tenses. So whether it is past progressive, present progressive, or future progressive, you still need a present participle within that tense. The present participle is when you add ing to the end of a verb. Some of these are quite straightforward because if you take the verb draw, to turn it into the present participle, you just need to add the ing on the end to create drawing. If you take the verb swim, because this has a short vowel sound, the I in it, you need to double the consonant before adding ing. So you would end up with swimming with the double M in the middle there. And the last example that I've got, if you have the verb come, it ends with an E, and before you add ing onto the end, you need to take off the E. So you would have coming without the E there. Let's look at past tense verbs. Past tense verbs are used to create past simple tense. They are split into 2 groups, regular and irregular. Regular past tense verbs are quite easy to create, as you just need to add an ed onto the end of the base verb. So if you have the base verb open, you just need to add ed on the end of it to make opened, which is your past tense verb. If you have the base verb play, you just need to add ed on the end to make played, which is a regular past tense verb. When you look at irregular verbs, these are slightly harder to form because they don't end in the ed. They don't follow any particular set of rules. So if you have the base verb eat, you can't say eated as past tense. You need to say ate as your past tense verb. If you have the base verb write, you don't write it, you wrote as the past tense verb. So the irregular verbs, you just need to practice and learn those. Finally, let's look at past participles. Past participles are used to create the perfect tenses. So whether it is the past perfect, the present perfect, or the future perfect, or any of the perfect progressive tenses that you are creating, you will still need a past participle. Now, again, the past participles can be regular or irregular. With the regular past participle, it is exactly the same as the past tense verbs. You just add ed. So if you have the verb cook, to make it into the past participle, it's exactly the same as past tense cooked. If you have the base verb jump, your past participle is going to be jumped. Again, there are irregular verbs, so they don't follow this rule. So if we look at the base verb drink, the past tense verb is drank, but the past participle is drunk. If you look at the verb ride, the past tense verb would be rode, but the past participle is ridden. So, just to recap, we have looked at root verbs or base verbs, third person singular verbs, present participles, the past tense verbs, and past participles. You will be able to use these when you start learning about the different tenses. I hope that you've found this session helpful, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye.